AI companions have arrived everywhere at once.
Hi everyone, I'm Shakti. What you just saw is a snippet of a film that I recently made, which I will talk about shortly, but just a quick introduction to me. I would say my work kind of swings between two poles, internet work on one side and video on the other, and my educational background is in psychology, and so something I've always been kind of interested in is the new human behaviors that emerge when we interact with technology. And in 2022, a new kind of technology entered the world, AI chatbots. We've had chatbots before, but large language models have really kind of made them hyper-realistic in a way that they've never really been before. And it was around this time that I stumbled into a subculture that I started to get really obsessed with, a subculture around bot making. There's a lot of attention on people who use bots, but there's not a lot of attention on people who make them. And so this film, Intimacy When the Other Side is a Variable, is sort of about that. So to start, what kinds of bots, right? Let's have a look. Evil bully wife, judgmental priest, loving Korean boyfriend. What's inside them? Let's see. Well, judgmental priest dislikes weaknesses, excuses, being pitied, and loving Korean boyfriend dislikes conflict and seeing the user stressed. Dislikes here is just an example. You can specify anything you want because it's natural language, so you could specify fears, likes, attachment style. And what really compelled me was seeing personality reduced so precisely and so strangely as this. And it was around the same time that I felt the discourse on AI companions was extremely reductive because on one hand, it's sort of extreme moral panic, and on the other hand, it's sort of it's sort of like a dismissal of the topic. And so my role here as a documentary filmmaker, I really wasn't here to debate the ethics or moralize or make any value judgments. I just wanted to kind of observe and look and document. And so my process of looking looked something like this. I spent a lot of time lurking in online spaces where bot makers gathered. Think like Discord servers and subreddits and forums. These are not official spaces, they're volunteer run. And a lot of these people, they're game designers or engineers and people whose day jobs are not really anything to do with AI research. And what they're doing, it's an enormous investment of time and effort. They're spending hundreds of hours kind of making these bots together. And so my role in these spaces was that of a voyeur. I was nameless and faceless, and if anything was funny or revealing, I would take a screenshot. And that instinct kind of helped me create this archive. It's hundreds of messages and images and videos and files. And 3 years of this kind of archive became the spine of the film that I worked on. And so really what I was trying to understand is like, what were they struggling with and what were they excited about? What kept them kind of coming back to this? And in the process, I also did speak to some people. One of the people I spoke to is who the film is kind of centered on is Delta. This is not her real name, it's a pseudonym that she gave me. And you're gonna hear her voice in a second, and I will say it's altered to preserve her anonymity. So let's hear from Delta.
I was going to be a clinical psychologist. Psychology is something that I'm really fascinated at looking at. I was interested in how my inputs would affect the AI and what I can do with that. Like, how dynamic can I make this? I was really excited because I was like, I can create my characters that I've had in my head for so long.
And so Delta has made over 30 or 40 bots, and in this process, she's developed a lot of tips and tools and techniques, and we can look at one of her tips. basically, in her experiments, she realized if she would use a word that's kind of reductive, like shy, in prompting the personality of the bot, it would the behavior of the bot kind of would be reduced to a caricature. But instead, if she tried something a little bit more behavioral, like avoids eye contact and speaks in short sentences and opens up when someone is patient, the bot now has behaviors to mimic, and so in its role play kind of interaction, it would be a lot more robust. And so she's made she's made a lot of discoveries like this because she spent hundreds of hours kind of doing this kind of work. And in the process, she made a guide where it's a detailed multi-page guide on how to create a really good bot. And she shared it on a subreddit, which has a lot of people on it, and it received about 700 upvotes and 83 comments. A lot of people engaging in the comments on like, oh, this has really helped me push my bots to be better. And so essentially the space is full of people doing a similar thing, which is they're sharing, they're creating bots together, they're sharing techniques with each other, they're debugging, and they're kind of creating a craft together in some way. They're developing sort of new vocabulary together, like bot dementia, when a bot starts to lose its personality mid-conversation and forgets who it is. Love loops, when the bot gets trapped in sort of like a repetitive affection and cannot exit a way of talking because of the nature of large language models. And when I shared this, sort of like this community and the knowledge that they're creating with an AI researcher, he said to me, "It's amusing how Delta and the others are finding signal in the noise of how these LLMs are trained in a way that exceeds the LLM companies themselves." So I think it's important to understand that large language models are essentially black boxes, right? And so these bot makers, what they're trying to do is like finding usable signals inside this sort of like opaque system. And so I would say the biggest surprise I felt while making this work is that it's a strange view into human fantasy and desire that even when people are given the total freedom to design a perfect role-play simulation, they still end up making characters like evil bully wife or traumatized military man. We still choose the complicated characters, the ones that wound us and punish us and need us and refuse us. And so I explore this further in the film. It's a desktop documentary and video essay, which I co-edited with my friend and artist Kiana Fernandez, who's in the audience today. Woo! It follows me grappling with this archive that I've created, and the film is sort of an invitation for the viewer to be a voyeur in these spaces with me. I am planning to put the film on YouTube, but I do want to have a couple of summer screenings, so if you would like to come see the film, please scan the QR code and sign up for an early screening. If you're interested in AI as a human story, or you're interested in sort of psychology or sociology of a lot of these bot makers, I think you'll enjoy the film. Yeah, thank you.